Today's masterclass, I'm going to talk about handling objections. Objections are a normal thing, are a normal part in the process of selling something to your customer. Either it's a product or a service. Most salespeople, they get a bit afraid, they get a bit anxious from the moment someone starts showing objections. But you need to keep in mind that showing objections is basically showing interest. So basically it's a good sign. It means your prospect, your lead, is interested in your product or service. You just need to convince them, you just need to push them over the finish line in order to onboard them. So how do you do this in a proper way? And this applies to any business. This is basically one of the secrets, one of the takeaways I learned over the past 20 plus years in my business and sales experience, is that any objection can be tackled with the same principle. So the principle is basically the QAS principle, the CAS principle. So the CAS means quality, ask, and solve. So what does this mean? Well, let's take an example where you have an objection, for instance, let's say one of the most common objections. Oh, but I have everything. I have everything. It's okay. It's fine. So this is a very common objection. Most salespeople would walk away. Okay, yeah, okay, thank you. I'm sorry to disturb you, blah, blah, blah. First of all, don't say sorry. Don't give any excuse. You don't have to say sorry, right? They are actually blessed that you are contacting them because you will solve their problem. You will make their life easier. They just don't know yet. Now, how will you handle this objection? Well, it's actually a very easy way to do it. So, first of all, you will create the fear of missing out. So you will give them the feeling, if they don't agree with your product or service, if they step away from your product or service, they're making the wrong decision. So you need to give them this fear, this uncomfortable feeling like, shoot, maybe I should have this or that. Now, how do you do this? Well, if they say to you like in a face-to-face or even online, or it can also be over the phone, you say like, oh, but I have everything. The first step you do is you qualify. So you step into their shoes and you say like, I understand that you have everything. So this will give them already a comfortable feeling. You're basically taking the elevator, like the metaphor, right? So you're stepping into the elevator, and if you were at level 10 and they were at level 1, you will find each other at level 5, or you come to 1, or he, you know what I mean. So you will level up. You will already be on the same level, and this is very important. People like to be understood. So this is a key fundamental. I understand. I understand that you have everything. And then you can also say like, secondly, I understand, but no, then you can say like, okay, I understand you have everything, but why do you think you have everything? So second part is you reply, or you ask W question, like, why do you think you have everything? This is open questions. So you give room for negotiation, you give room for thoughts, you give room to digest. So the customer, the potential customer, will be able to express and basically to think about the reason he's giving you not to buy your product or service, because basically those are BS objections. So you will give the room to think about it. So why do you think you have everything? I don't know. Blah, 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 blah. Or probably they will just say like, yeah, just, no, I'm good. Everything is fine. I have everything. Okay. Then you can say like, what I suggest, Mrs. or Mr. XY, I suggest that we think it over, both of us. So what you do in this case, well, if you think it over, both of us, let's do it together now. You will tackle immediately, you will diffuse immediately the failure to close the sale. Because if you step away and say like, okay, then think it over. I just want to think it over. Okay, then think it over. Yeah, this is closing the door, right? And it will be very difficult to pick up the conversation. As you know, this will end up in endless follow-up calls. They will try to ghost you, etc., etc. And this will be a very small chance you will close the deal. So actually what you have to do is to tackle it at once, because the momentum is there. You're on the same page. You took the elevator. I understand you're doubting. I understand you think you're in the opinion you already have everything. But why do you think you have everything? Why do you want things over? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's do it together. So then after the qualify, you ask the questions, you will solve the problem. And solving the problem is thinking it over together. So you use this important cross to handle the objections, where you will list the plus and the minuses according to your product. So let's think about it together. So you really need to build your pitch with certain fundamentals. And this is a mistake I see so many sales making over and over again, is that they don't have the fundamentals in their pitch. So you need to have fundamentals such as, let's say, first of all, you need to have the need, right? So what is the need? What is the urgency to buy your product? If you have, I'm just saying something, if you're selling a financial product, let's say in regards to securing pension, like 401ks, whatever, or pension products, pension funds products in the outside the States, and then you need to create the urgency. What is the urgency? The urgency is we're all becoming older, and you don't have to rely on the government, that's for sure. So you need to foresee your own funding. This is creating the urgency. So you need to create the urgency. This is, for instance, in regards to a finance product, but it can also be in regards to obviously different products, basically anything. So what is the urgency? That's one fundamental. Another one can be, for instance, the product. So the product as such, what is a key USP of your product, right? So it can also be the quality. It can be the service. It can be the after sales. So there are several items that you need to check. So for instance, you list it and you say like, okay, you first of all at the urgency or the problem. Then you can create actually, for instance, okay, what is the key USP? What is the service? What about price? Etc., etc. So you list the different points and you cover each point. You walk hand in hand. You guide them through the process and again confirm those points. So you list them like, okay, are we good on the problem? Do you understand that if you are not taking action, you will face this problem? Yes. Check. Do you understand? B, do you understand the product, the service, the price, etc.? So you need to check the different points. So it's really important that throughout your entire sales pitch, you build different check questions. So you need to build in different checks. And you cannot, basically you already made a mistake in your client meeting, so your client pitch, because you need to build in those, we call it like fundamental questions. And you need to check every fundamental question before you move on in your pitch. So this means something was wrong in your pitch. But okay, you're in the momentum now to handle his or her objection. So you do it again. So you cover again the different fundamental questions. If they have still doubts, you need to dig into that subject again. So you dig into it accordingly until the moment you have a check. You cannot have a minus. If it's a minus, you need to revisit until it's a positive one. And then in the end, you say like, so you're building kind of this filter, right? And in the end, the filter will bring them to the close, to closing the deal, to seal the deal. Right? You seal the deal. And this is what you have to do. So you need to cover the different points. So you think about it. Let's think it over together, right? You walk hand in hand and you guide them through the process. You reconvince them about the urgency, how it will make their life easier. You diffuse again their problem and you pick the Achilles, you diffuse the Achilles by your service of product. So you convince them again, and then the end question is basically the solving question, the closing question. So Mr. X or Mrs. Y. So now that we've revisited the different points here. So first of all, we will solve your problem, the service, the price, etc., etc. So now we have all positive checks on those points. What is still holding you back to close the deal today? Open question. I don't know. I think nothing. Okay. And then you close with an and question, like and or question, I mean. So then you can say like, okay, so now we've checked all the boxes and you're fully convinced about my product or my service. So do you want to start with package A, as I was talking to you about, or you rather prefer to start with package B? Never ask them, will you do it, yes or no? This is the most stupidest thing you can do. So always and or question. So and or, will you start with option A or will you start with option B? Always open questions, never closed questions. So if you start doing this, you can handle any objection.